How does the spice help in space flights? Why was everyone so horrified by the Bene Gesserit? And what's the deal with technology in Dune? Why did they use blades and not handguns or laser blasters? Dare to take a closer look at the mysteries of Arrakis.
It's time.
What do we know about the spice melange? It increases life expectancy, it alters one's mind, and helps to see the future. We also know that it's crucial for the guild navigators to operate interstellar spaceships with. But we've never been told how exactly. As long as the melange helps to predict the future, it makes it possible for the guild navigators to build a safe interstellar route. But sadly, that has its own horrible price. Yep, that's why the navigators look like this. Or like this. Depending on the artist's perception, the navigators spend way too much time immersed in highly concentrated amounts of melange gas. People who are addicted to the spice need to take it for the rest of their life, otherwise they will die. But where does the spice come from? In the books, Frank Herbert says that the truth behind the spice's origin lies deep in the sands of Arrakis. You'd be surprised to know, but the most expensive commodity in the world of Dune is actually a fungal excretion of a sandworm. Yep, or rather, the excretion of a sand trout. Sand trouts are an earlier form of life of a sandworm. Freemans believe that these cute little creatures are physical embodiments of Arrakis' one god. They call the sand word Shai Hulud, which can be translated as Old Man of the Desert or Grandfather of the Desert. Freemans are literally obsessed with the sandworms. They even ride them. Exactly. Riding a worm for the first time is a typical coming-of-age ritual for the Freeman tribes. Now let's discover more about another curious element of Dune, the technologies. They look pretty messed up in the movie, don't they? There are plenty of cool sci-fi tools like defensive shields and giant flying spaceships, but at the same time, the characters use medieval blades in fights. So what's the deal with the technologies in Dune? The events of the story take place 10,000 years after the Butlerian Jihad, or the war between humans and thinking machines. Soon after the brutal war ended, the surviving people realized using artificial intelligence was a bad idea. So they built a new world, this time without any computers at all.
The humans decided in the past that artificial intelligence was the wrong way for evolution, for human evolution. They banned computers and they rely only into the human brain, into the human spirit.
Here you might ask, but how did people live without the internet and smartphones? Actually, pretty well. They learned to compensate for the lack of thinking machines. New professions were invented to cover everything that computers were responsible for. Men who were capable of that were called Mentats, the human computers. Or you can call them the Wikipedia men. Because these dudes remembered an insane amount of information, and at the same time they were trained specifically to calculate and analyze vast sets of data. However, instead of those black squares on their lips, in the books they had deep ruby stains as a result of drinking the juice of Sappho. Nope, it's not made of spice. But yes, this special liquid helped Mentats to enhance their mental powers. Surprisingly, it took them milliseconds to calculate an insane amount of data, like finding the distance between two stars, for example. Mentats were used by the leaders of the great houses mostly for political and military purposes. Imagine having an indigo man like that as your advisor, huh? It's like your personal live version of Siri. By the way, Paul was trained in that craft too, just like those witch ladies from the Bene Gesserit. One more curious thing about the technologies in Dune is about the defensive shields. They present an energy barrier that can be calibrated to the needs of whoever wears it. A shield can be so dense that it won't allow a single air molecule to pass through, or it can be loose enough for someone to reach a hand through. The important thing to know about a personal shield is that it can stop a fast-moving object, like a bullet, but at the same time, it can be penetrated by a slowly moving blade. So this explains why you don't see any handguns in Dune.
I have you.
Aye. But look down, my lord. You're to join me in death.
Living in a world without computers meant another challenge for people. They had to change the way they approached medicine, because there are definitely no MRI and ultrasound devices in Dune, right? In the movie, we saw a couple of scenes that showed us some of Frank Herbert's treatment methods. The one with the Baron taking a creepy-looking but healing bath.
Now squeeze, Rabbit. Squeeze hard.
Yes, uncle. And the vermin.
Kill them all.
And the one where Dr. Yue examined Paul. Remember, he didn't use any devices to check the Duke's son. He knew some secret knowledge that helped him to diagnose and heal his patients. That's because Dr. Yue was trained at the Suk Inner School, one of the most superior medical institutes in the world of Dune. The Suk doctors were very valuable to the great houses, not only because of their extraordinary medical skills, but also because of their special mental conditioning. Yes, the Suk doctors were not capable of any betrayal. Hurting a patient was almost physically impossible for the Suk doctors, and the black diamond on their foreheads symbolized exactly that. So it was quite an unexpected twist to see Dr. Yue betraying Atreides. In the movie, they didn't focus on explaining anything about the Suk inner school, because that would have made the film even longer. But now, knowing some background about the Suk doctors, isn't it curious how Harkonnens managed to recruit Dr. Yue? Frank Herbert dived deeper into that question in his books. Did any of you guys read the books and know the answer? Tell us in the comments! So we've talked about spice, sandworms, and technologies, but we haven't addressed the most powerful organization in the world of Dune, which is the Bene Gesserit.
Come here. Kneel. Have you dreamt things that happened just as you dreamed them?
Many times.
Watching the movie without any context, it may be a little unclear why Atreides and Harkonnens are so afraid of these witch ladies. I mean, Lady Jessica woke her son in the middle of the night and risked his life because she was ordered to. And even the scariest character so far, Baron Harkonnen, was careful talking with the Reverend Mother.
My lord, you gave your word to the witch. She sees too much.
I said I would not harm them.
So who are they? The Bene Gesserit is a female members-only political and religious organization that plays its own game in Dune. Using special training, they've learned to perfectly control both their bodies and their minds. Yep, the Reverend Mothers are capable of numerous superpower abilities. They are pretty powerful in hand-to-hand combat. They can control every muscle of their body. They can even control their metabolism, which makes them poison-proof. The witches sense the truth and force people to do anything they need them to do. Yep, that's why they called voice in the movie. This is just a short list of their abilities, but I'm guessing you probably already understand why everyone is afraid of the Bene Gesserit, huh? And perhaps the most important thing to know about the Reverend Mothers is that they can control their fertility. Or putting it simply, they can choose the sex of their future children. The main goal of the Bene Gesserit is to ascend humanity by giving birth to the Kwisatz Haderach. Translated, this means shortening of the way, and it represents a man who will be capable of bridging space and time, saving the world, and who will obey the Bene Gesserit, of course.
The Bene Gesserit sisterhood are a female congregation that are trying to filter humans and to just bring the best out of them.
The original plan was to breed the daughter of Atreides to a son of Harkonnen, which would stop the old feud between the two great houses. This plan was carefully performed for 10,000 years. But as you know from the movie, Lady Jessica didn't want it to happen. Because of her love for the Duke, she gave birth to a son, not a daughter, hoping that he would be the Kwisatz Haderach. Will that work out? Well, we'll need to wait for the next Dune movie to find out. Fan of Dune? Then check out this behind-the-scenes video too. Thanks for watching us, and stay awesome.